It is that time of year again. The Dallas Cowboys prepare for the 2023 season with training camp presented by American Airlines. Welcome in to Inside Cowboys Training Camp, driven by Ford. We are here from the Star in Frisco alongside Hailey, Sutton. I'm Kyle Youmans. We are ecstatic to be here because football is back, and it's going to be back in a big way for the Dallas Cowboys. Of course, they are on their way to Oxnard as we speak. Actually, I think they landed a couple hours ago. It's going to be a great year, but it really has that buzz around it because of the offseason that they've had in front of them.
Yeah, definitely the offseason has generated a lot of excitement for this Cowboys team. And listen, we haven't seen them play in 183 days. So to finally get them back into playing real football situations, I'm definitely excited. It'll be my first training camp out in Oxnard as well. So I'm excited to kind of see how the season starts so that they can get a little closer to that Super Bowl.
Yeah, first one for Hailey. We've got a ton of members on our crew that have been to 15, 20, 25 training camps. I'm going into year number 4 for me as training camp comes along this year. Lots of excitement around that, but we do have to talk about Zach Martin because there was reports surfacing this week that Zach Martin could miss some time this year, or at least in training camp, due to a contract dispute. How could that change things for the Cowboys? Because not having one of their best players on the practice field could be a worry.
Yeah, well, listen, we know the impact that Zach Martin has on the field as well. You know, he brings that veteran experience. He brings that leadership. He's kind of the calm in the midst of the chaos that is that locker room with all of the personality. So before you even get to the football side of this is your leader stepping up and saying, I want you guys to do better. And listen, he's earned it. He's an 8-time Pro Bowler, 6-time All-Pro Award winner. He's one of the most productive players at that position. He just joined the 99 Club on Madden. So really, he has grounds to want more money. He's earned it. He's deserved it. And when you look at some of the other guys in similar situations, I really think he should be up there in terms of making more money.
Yeah, this past offseason, Chris Lindstrom, who is widely known as one of the better young guards at 26 years old in the National Football League, he signed for a contract average $20 million a year. Right now, Zach Martin, he's due $1.7 million, which sounds like nothing in an NFL contract situation, but a lot of that has been converted into signing bonus. It'll average out to be about $14 million. So even you're talking about one of the best young guards in football in Chris Lindstrom, who plays for the Falcons, he's $6 million underneath that mark. So if Zach Martin, of course, does not have that same sort of contract in the fold, he might actually miss some time. At the moment, not a huge worry for the Cowboys because until you get closer to the gameplay, of course, you really want Zach Martin to remain healthy either way. Speaking of changes, though, Mike McCarthy enters his first year as the play caller in Dallas since he took over the Cowboys head coaching position back in 2020. He last called plays in Green Bay back in 2018. How could that change the way things look out in Oxnard?
Well, you definitely can feel the excitement with the offense in terms of getting a new play caller. And this is no shade to Kellen Moore, but I think Mike McCarthy has a vision of what he wants this offense to look like. And he's excited to get back into that role. He's excited to be more involved with Dak. Dak has talked all offseason about how their relationship has flourished and how working with Mike closely has helped him build a better relationship with some of his other wide receivers. So it's definitely going to look different. Mike McCarthy has emphasized over and over that he wants to get back to having the run game be an integral part of this offense. So it's definitely exciting. He's looking forward to this new challenge. And I think for Cowboys fans as well, it's a good thing to look forward to as well.
Oh, I think Dak Prescott's looking forward to it. He called it a relief through the offseason, through OTAs, of having a change of pace at the play caller position. Of course, Kellen Moore also making his way out to the West Coast. He's now the offensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Chargers. So he'll be out in L.A., just not in Oxnard this time around. Should be interesting to see how Mike McCarthy changes things up as a play caller and also how he could actually bring that Texas Coast offense into play here in 2023. We'll talk more about that on later editions of Inside Cowboys Training Camp. But when we come back, could the second-year jump be in store for Jalen Tolbert at the wide receiver position?
Inside Cowboys Training Camp, presented by Ford, is brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. And by your Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. This segment is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors, official sporting goods retailer of the Dallas Cowboys.
Inside Cowboys training camp driven by Ford. Back here from the Star in Frisco with Hailey Sutton. I'm Kyle Youmans. We will be out in Oxnard tomorrow, so getting things underway in our own selves going into training camp 2023. But let's take a look at some of the best battles that we're going to have our eyes on throughout the entire month in Oxnard, California, starting at the wide receiver position. Jalen Tolbert, Simi Fehoko, a combined 5 receptions between the two guys last year. Who do you think has the edge going into this training camp to try and win that wide receiver 4 spot?
Yeah, when you put it in perspective that way, it's kind of crazy to think about, and it also gets you a little bit more excited for what they've done in this offseason. We knew Jalen Tolbert had a tough year last year, just mentally going through the playbook, feeling like he was struggling to fit in. He talked about that at the Senior Bowl. Simi Fehoko in a similar situation, but both of them have really taken the initiative to get reps with Dak Prescott this offseason, really learn the offense a little bit better, build that chemistry. So I got to be honest, Kyle, I don't know who has the edge here. They both are such different wide receivers. I think it'll be a fun battle to watch, especially when they're trying to compete for reps.
And of course, both of them spending some extra time with the new addition in Brandon Cooks, with Dak Prescott throughout the offseason. Hopefully both of them can see an uptick in their game. Starting at the wide receiver spot, now moving to running back. Who is going to step up behind Tony Pollard this season?
I think the obvious answer you would think is Ronald Jones. They brought him in the offseason. He's a 2-time Super Bowl champion, a guy who really hasn't had an opportunity to prove himself, though, on the field. He plays with a chip on his shoulder. He reminds me a little bit of what Ezekiel Elliott brought to the table. But listen, you can't count out a Rico Dowdle. You can't count out a Malik Davis. Both of those guys have shown some promise as well. So another interesting battle that it's going to take, the reps and the energy, and really who wants it more in that backup spot.
You can say the same thing about the edge rusher spot as well. A couple young edge rushers trying to make an impact this year, starting with Sam Williams, and then also draft pick Junior Fehoko.
I love Sam Williams' energy. He's a guy who I've covered before throughout his high school career, into his college career, and now seeing how he's taken that next step at the pro level. He told me back at media days that he wanted at least 10 sacks this year, at least. So lofty goals for a guy going into his second year, but you can't count out Fehoko as well. And when they're both learning from a guy like Micah Parsons, this is a nasty position group that's really going to take the top off of this defense.
Oh, this is going to be so fun to watch through training camp. The position like running back, you might have to wait until the preseason games to really get a good feel, but at edge rusher, things can start out on the practice field. And when we come back, get your calendars out, because we're going to tell you exactly what you can expect from a training camp schedule. How does Mike McCarthy have this all organized?
This segment was brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors, official sporting goods retailer of the Dallas Cowboys. Inside Cowboys Training Camp, presented by Ford, was brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. And by your Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas.
All right, make sure and take notes. Here is the 2023 training camp schedule. Practices get underway out in Oxnard at the River Ridge Sports Complex, July 26th. And then, of course, an entire month full of activities. You have the Military Appreciation Day. You have Volunteer Appreciation Day. Over 200 volunteers from the city of Oxnard will be a part of this training camp, and Hailey Sutton will be out there. We will be out there starting tomorrow. We'll have the opening press conference with the front office, of course, Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, and head coach Mike McCarthy talking about it. But what are you most excited about heading into your first camp?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, my first training camp. So I'm really just looking forward to the experience. But you know what? We've talked so much about this team being a Super Bowl caliber team over the last few seasons, and you've seen the work put in the offseason by the front office and by this current roster to make an impact. So I'm just excited to see these guys kind of prove the haters wrong, and that obviously all starts in Oxnard.
Oh my gosh, it gets underway and it's a full month. That means football, ladies and gentlemen, is finally here.
Finally
it is
back.
Time to get back to work. Thank you for joining us on the first Inside Cowboys training camp driven by Ford. Like I said, we'll be back tomorrow. For Hailey Sutton, I'm Kyle Youmans. We'll see you out in Oxnard.